Hey guys, it's Gabby. Hope y'all are doing well. For question 1, how could you vary your teaching techniques to ensure you reach all of the various learning abilities you may have in your classroom? My teaching techniques would vary a lot. I would do group activities, projects, worksheets, anything. Chapter 6, it talks a lot about how using visuals and hands-on activities and discussions is important, especially when you break up your content, which I would do. I would definitely chunk it and I would make it go from the easiest part. Chapter 6 talks a lot about how your lessons should go from easy to hard, and I would definitely do that. I would also make sure that my students understood the main ideas of the lessons, because if you chunk it, it should be like the building blocks up to a big lesson. And I would do all of this by using visuals and hands-on activities and group activities and discussions and projects. And I would try my best to make it like weekly based. When I introduce a new topic, this is how it goes. We're gonna do this. We're gonna have a project after, an organizer. I would try my best to do that. I wouldn't want it to seem too robotic, but I would want it to be almost like a routine in a way. Just not too much of a strict routine, if that makes sense. And if I were asked to teach online or in a virtual environment, this would definitely change, because I wouldn't be able to do too many group activities, and discussions are a bit harder. I would try and make my students, well, I would make my students record videos like this for discussions, because I do believe it's important to have like face-to-face conversations. I do believe you learn a lot from your peers, which online classes sadly miss out on, especially if they don't do this. And it's a bit harder to do group projects or activities, because that social aspect is missing in a virtual environment. So that would change. However, my chunking of lessons would not change, or the way I would take it from the simplest to the hardest would not change at all. I would keep that as well. And for choice questions, what advantages or disadvantages does the concept of thinking styles have compared to learning styles? So Chapter 6 talked a lot about thinking styles, and in my opinion, I think it liked thinking styles more so than learning styles. Learning styles are just, it talks about like how learning styles are more about how the teacher gives the content. Basically, like, are they doing worksheets? Are they doing group activities? It talks about that more than but for learning styles, it talks about how a teacher is teaching, but not really how they're chunking their lessons. Meanwhile, thinking styles talks more about how their lessons are chunked and made into building blocks and put all together at the end for students to have more of an understanding. And thinking styles definitely has more advantages than learning styles, because students have a deeper understanding of their learning, because you're taking topics and putting it from the easiest to the hardest. Like I said before, can't multiply if you don't know how to add. And learning styles basically is just how your teacher is giving it to you, worksheets. That's what it talks more about. So the disadvantage that learning styles have is just that it's not focused on learning from the simplest topic to the biggest topic for a student's overall understanding. And for the second choice question, I did, what graphic organizers could you use to present concepts in your subject area of teaching? And I would teach elementary school, and I would do either history, science, or English. I would do either of the three. And I would use Venn diagrams for science because I would show the differences and similarities with animals and states of matter, everything. And I would do timelines for history. And for English, we just called them graphic organizers, but it was like introduction, body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2, conclusion, and I would definitely do that, and I would have them put like main ideas in each, much like how I would be teaching. And how do graphic organizers work for children? Graphic organizers support the learning because by chunking it, much like I said for the English, you put your main ideas of body paragraph 1 and main ideas for body paragraph 2. Children understand that more because you are taking the chunks, the main ideas, and you are putting it into a graphic organizer. And it shows how all of these concepts end up building upon each other. And chapter 6 talks a lot about that because if you take it from the simplest to the hardest, you see how all these tiny little lessons or tiny little things that they're understanding all come together and create a whole big picture. So yeah, they understand it because it's just chunks and it creates a whole big pie, I guess. Yeah, that's all.